Yeah, that's a great question. First, let me give a shout out to my fellow mayor, Justin Bibb in Cleveland. Justin and I serve as co-chairs of the Mayor's Commission on Water Equity, and he's a great asset, great partner, and so I appreciate all the work that Mayor Bibb does. The capacity of staff and outside resources is extremely important for us to be able to move forward on implementing a climate plan or to have a government that focuses in on climate resiliency. And so at the City of Milwaukee, for years and years, we have had a dedicated office focusing in on these issues. Today, we have an office called the Environmental Collaboration Office, or ECO, and the director of that office is a cabinet level official, so reports directly to me, because that's how important we take our responsibility in Milwaukee to sustain our economy, to promote climate resiliency, to create jobs, green jobs around climate, to improve our infrastructure, to make us more resilient in Milwaukee. But it's not just having the in-house talent built up. It's also relying on our partners on the outside as well. For us, we've got a great working relationship with the federal government. So, there have been a number of accomplishments in President Joe Biden's administration, two of which are the bipartisan infrastructure law as well as the Inflation Reduction Act. It sends billions really of dollars to communities across the United States to be able to tap into to make these sort of investments that we're talking about to make sure we're climate resilient and lifting people up out of poverty. So our partnerships with the Biden administration are going to be key to fund these initiatives, and that's what we'll be focusing on. I know that our Environmental Collaboration Office is already zeroed in on millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars of funding from those federal sources.
And I'm really excited about the future of Milwaukee, the future of public gathering places and plazas, but I'm also very enthused about the future of Milwaukee as it relates to our climate resiliency as well. I've said numerous times that in my tenure as mayor, during my administration, I want to build out a protected bike lane system throughout Milwaukee. I think that's important. It's important for reducing greenhouse gases and making sure that people have biking as a preferred method to get around the city of Milwaukee, but it's also good for people's physical health. It's also good for their mental health. But it's not just that in terms of infrastructure. It's also working to make sure that we use our partners, not just in the Department of Public Works, but also the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District and others in Milwaukee Public Schools to make sure that we're installing more bioswales to capture rainwater where it falls, and that we're busting up asphalt, busting up concrete, busting up some of these gray surfaces around Milwaukee, particularly at Milwaukee Public Schools, and instituting then additional places that are outdoor learning spaces with increased tree canopy in places where more rainwater is collected when it falls on the ground in Milwaukee as well. So there are a lot of things that we have done and will be able to continue to do in Milwaukee with our infrastructure that makes us more climate resilient. In climate change, yes. There is a nexus between them all. Poverty leads to violence, and violence is crime, right? Where climate change comes into that nexus is the fact that in Milwaukee, years ago, we had the highest quality of life for African Americans in the United States. And that's because folks had access to good paying, family supporting careers in heavy manufacturing. Those jobs, they dried up, they went to right to work states. In the South, they went overseas for cheap labor, leaving those same neighborhoods that I grew up in, quite frankly, sort of in the lurch, holding the bag, where they didn't have, the people who lived there didn't have access to those family supporting opportunities. That's how they then, in those neighborhoods, and the people who live in those neighborhoods get caught into the cycle of poverty, which then leads to violence. So what we're able to do with our focus on climate resiliency is work to increase the opportunities for folks to have jobs in the green sector, in the green economy. So we're working to make sure those connections there, that folks who live in those neighborhoods have access to those jobs. And when they have access to those jobs, good paying jobs, just like they once did decades ago, they'll have more stability in their lives. They have stability in their lives with good paying family supporting job, they'll be able to purchase their homes. They purchase their homes, they become stabilizing forces in their neighborhoods. You get a critical mass of that happening, and folks are not so transient. They become familial. You build up those relationships with your neighbors. You build up those relationships, the neighborhoods start to become cohesive. They start to gel. And when those neighborhoods gel and become cohesive, that's how you get to the true public safety that all of us are talking about. So there certainly is a nexus between poverty, crime, and climate change.
Thank you.
Absolutely.